Okay. Go ahead and call the meeting to order and ask to do roll call, please.
Monterey,
That's me, yes.
Castroville,
Here.
Delray Oaks,
Here.
Marina Coast,
Here.
Sand City. Here.
All right, any additions to the agenda? Approval of agenda?
So move.
Any other discussion? Take it out for public comment.
Do we have anybody online on the public?
We have two.
Seeing none, we'll bring it back. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll open it for public comment. Any takers? Nobody? Nobody. All right. We'll go ahead and go to item number 6. Consider approval of budget and personnel committee meeting minutes from September 13th.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Take it out to the public. We lost our screens on our end.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. All right, we'll bring it back to the committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 7, update on process for collection of capacity charges.
Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you. Good morning. First, I'd like to introduce Lindsay Sistaby. She's our customer service supervisor, and she's been my mentor, coach, partner on this project. So I asked her to come and be a part of this today. So let's get started. It's really an informational piece. We're going to talk about capacity charges, and we're going to talk about connections also. But with capacity charges, the question is, what is a capacity charge? Chai? There we go. A capacity charge is just a fee that's paid when a property connects to our wastewater system or when usage increases. And this charge helps cover the cost of maintaining, improving, and expanding the wastewater system. Pretty simple. Chai? The rate setting process, it should read the Monterey Water conducts a rate study every 5 years to determine if our current water charges are sufficient to cover all the costs associated with operating and maintaining our water system, including infrastructure upkeep, debt service, and future capital improvements, and ensuring we can provide reliable water service while remaining financially stable. And there's 3 components or 3 elements to this rate setting process: revenue requirements, cost allocation, and rate design. In short, go back. There we go. Real quick, just a little bit on each one of these. With revenue requirements, we set out to work with our engineering department and try to determine what projects do we want to construct over the next 5 years. With cost allocation, there's a couple of components. One is we identify all our customers, our billing accounts, but we also take a look at wastewater flow and strength of customer classes. That's because not every business has the same flow or strength of wastewater out of their business. We need to determine those because those are going to lead us to a rate design or a rate figure. And sometimes, you do the best you can on revenue requirements and cost allocation, but that rate increase is just unacceptable. It comes in way too high. So we have to go back, look at our projects, look at our cost allocation figures, and try to come up with a rate that's digestible to our customers. I mean, you can't come back with a 60% rate increase. That's not gonna fly very high. So there is three elements to this process. Okay. There are 2 categories when it comes to capacity charges. There's residential and then there's business. Under business, there's 2 subcategories: commercial and special user. An example would be industrial businesses. Okay. So when it comes to residential and business capacities, it's kind of a broken record here, but capacity charges ensure that all customers pay their fair share. Fairness is the key here. Their fair share of the capital costs associated with maintaining, improving, and or expanding the system due to increases in flows. With single-family dwellings and apartment, there's a one-time charge of $6,093.55 per 12 unit. And this figure is increased every year using the Bay Area Engineering News Record, CPI, and it is approved by the board of directors. Okay. There are 2 types of business capacity categories: commercial businesses and, again, special users. Okay. So I wanted to show you the 3 components, but also give you an example. And I chose animal hospital or veterinary clinic. So you have your type of business, you have your wastewater flow, which is gallons per day, and the wastewater strength, milligrams per liter. And when it comes to items 2 and 3, we use an industry average, and we have charts for everything. So we have industry averages. Now, if a customer came in and said, I'm uncomfortable with the charge, we can use actual volumes from their specific company. And I actually have a restaurant I'm working with right now, and we've gone down this path, and they are submitting their monthly their monthly consumption since the day they opened 18 months ago. So we're going to do some math and revisit with them. So there is that option if they choose. But most of them, we just use averages, industry averages. Chai? So then rate formula is then used to calculate these factors into a total fee. So you take flow factor and strength factors 2 and 3 from the previous slide. That'll get you an EDU. We multiply that by a current rate. Again, we just go right off averages. And there's my example. The flow factor times the strength gets you the EDU times a monthly rate. In this case, with this vet clinic or animal hospital, it's roughly $134 a month. Chai? Special user, we don't get too many of these, but this is the definition is an establishment which cannot be classified in any other category. The category or capacity charges are determined on actual volume flows. Most of the time when we get someone that's not on our list, we work with them and just they typically inherit the capacity of the previous owner of that building or that facility. But we don't get too many of those. And this is where I thought I was going to need your help, but things have gone really well. So stay with me for a minute. Connection permit. In addition to the payment of a capacity charge, a connection permit is required to connect to our system. There are permit issuance requirements, but the most important one is applicants must obtain a connection permit prior to receiving a building permit. So keep that in your head for a second. Chai? Why is it so important? Well, the resident's responsible to get the wastewater from the house to the street, pipe right through their front yard. City is responsible to get it to the regional system, and then we take it all the way to RTP. And a connection permit is the way for us to track the number of customers in our system. So how many businesses and how many homes are connected to our system? So we have two issues, and I think we have them both covered. How does Monterey One Water track capacity in its system? So for Monterey Water to accurately track our system, it requires we have to know how many homes and businesses are connected. Again, pretty simple. Some of the member entities have been really good at it, about sending those applicants to us before issuing a building permit. Most have not. And there's a reason for it. Pandemic, employees went home. They didn't have the supervision that they have in an office setting. There's been a lot of turnover in staff over the last couple of years, and they didn't get the training. So, and I'll give you an example. And I heard this a couple of days ago at one of our cities here, one of our member entities, and it made sense. There's a planning tech at the counter that says, sir, I have your application. You know, I know for a fact that you don't have a fee at Monterey One Water. Don't worry, you don't need to go over there. Well, when you go to get a business license or a permit from a city, there's typically a list that says, go to the school district, pay your fees. Go to the water district, pay your fees. Go to Monterey One Water, pay your fees. Well, planning techs or people at the counter that didn't get the proper training would say they thought they were doing the customer a favor, saving them a step. No, we need to give them a no fee waiver so they're in our system. So make sense? Okay. So the solution again is it's as simple as putting us on that list. Lindsay and I've met with all, I guess, 8. We have to meet with Monterey County and Delray Oaks. They're our last 2. It's just been a scheduling issue. It's not that anything but that. But everyone, each of the entities to a person has been receptive and said, absolutely, we'll retrain our folks. We'll bring our folks up to speed, but we'll certainly get you back on that list if you're not on the list so that we can get them to you so that on a go forward basis, everyone will be in our system. But there's one other issue. Chai? What do we do? How will Monterey One Water identify the homes and businesses that have been constructed but not permitted by us? The ones that got past us during the pandemic or just didn't get sent over here? Pretty simple, and everybody's been great. We said we need to go back 3 years get a list of your building permits. And it can be simple TI. We want everything because their number is going to be higher than ours. We know that. So we'll figure out that delta. Then we're going to do a field inspection. Our folks do it. We've gotten away from it, but we need to get back to it. And we'll go out there and identify who on that list that's on, say, City of Delray Oaks. They're on your list, but not on ours. And then we'll connect with you, and then we'll get it all, we'll get it all up to speed. So we get all your building permits for the last 3 years. We'll do the heavy lifting. We just need you to send them over. Now, that is an ask. And a couple of the entities kind of looked at us and they said, we'll do that, but you know what you're asking for. And we said, yes, we do. Just send it to us. We'll do all the heavy lifting. We'll come back and then we'll compare notes. And if we did nothing about going backwards, businesses turn over and homes get sold. So if we did nothing in time, we'll have a better handle on everyone that's the homes and businesses that are connected to our system. But we don't want to wait years because homes don't change over very quickly and some businesses don't. So what we want to do is get those lists, and all the entities have been great. We'll get out there, do the field inspection. And then at that point, we'll have a very good understanding of who's connected to our system. I'll throw a couple of figures, then we'll take questions. We know for a fact that there's 17 million gallons a day of wastewater going through the RTP. We know that. We're permitted for 29.6 million. So we're at about 57%. There's plenty of capacity today. So I don't want to alarm anybody, but we need to get a better handle on the homes and businesses that aren't hooked up, but that are in our system. So they're hooked up to our system, but we don't have them in our system. So I can't say it enough. I really thought I was going to have to ask you to talk to your city managers and your general managers and kind of lean on them a little bit. Don't have to do that. Everyone's been great. So that's where we're at. There will be a presentation at the next board meeting, and I'll have more updates on Delray Oaks and Monterey County. But again, wanted to come to you and talk a little bit about capacity charges and connection fees, connection permits. But that's the presentation.
Now, as part of the RTP capacity that you were speaking to, at some point we might reach higher capacity, and that's why we want to get a handle on this now. Part of why we want to get a handle on this now.
I don't know how, Paul, you want to answer that? I mean, I don't think what we're doing is going to have a huge effect,
But eventually, as we
But
build out.
ultimately, so
yes.
this is just to tighten things up to make sure we're getting the revenue that we're supposed to, as well as the database is complete with what's being built out there. Actually, Director Moore had brought this up to me specific to the Fort Ord property, just all the development that's going out there is how are we tracking that? How is it going against the various allocations that we have? But to your point specifically, Tyler, actually in our permit, it says when we get to 75% of the design capacity of 29.6, we need to inform the regional board and just sort of have a plan in place. So we got a little time, obviously, being that it's 17, but it's something we're constantly trying to keep tabs on, particularly with I don't know how many, I think Rem told me 5,000 homes going up in the former Fort Ord, and then whatever growth happens within the existing area. And I know Salinas, they have 3 development areas that could potentially in the next 10 years have like 10,000 homes. So it's something we absolutely need to keep tabs on to be compliant with our permit, as well as be able to prepare for the future to allow more flows into the system.
Yeah, so I get where we need this process for new construction. But don't we already have the information about exactly how many single-family homes we are serving? Because we had to put all that together last spring for the potential move over to the county tax collector's office, which didn't occur. But doesn't that basically enumerate all the businesses? Because we had to tell them exactly what their fee was going to be, and we had to have calculated that for businesses by whatever means. And single-family homes are pretty straightforward, but we've got a list of APNs, and I presume not all the APNs are served because they don't all have business on it, and we sorted all that out. I mean, isn't all that information there?
Good question.
Do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I
Those
mean,
conversions?
Tom, you're right. All of that was captured in the tax roll process. But I think, they're trying to go back and tighten up if there was anything that happened in those 3 years of the pandemic from the different entities that we may not have captured. I mean, Lindsay and I, we talked about it. We know what we're billing, but it could there could be some that, got through the cracks or whatever. And so, yeah, we've tightened it up. I think it's just continuing to move in that direction.
Well, and I've also observed that there are some delays at the county level. Our county supervisor isn't here to throw under the bus, but there are some delays in the tax assessor's office. For example, if you go to the GIS system, which shows assessor parcel numbers, there are places where there are sold houses and people living in those houses that aren't even marked on the map. The APNs are not on the map. So somewhere it's never gotten from the actual APN database into the GIS system, and I have no idea how long that takes or what delays it and what that means data-wise. So yeah, we could be a little behind. Thank you.
What was the ruling or what were we doing with the ADUs? Did they take any other capacity? The new ADUs that's been going in?
So yes, they do take capacity. I think we brought a policy to the board on ADUs that differentiated between, what do we call them, junior ADUs and
Could you jump up to the mic
Put it-
just so for
put
folks
him-
online?
There you go.
so I think you all know this is Lindsay, since to be our customer service supervisor, who back when we did the ADU policy, I think you helped develop with Fred.
Right. So in a junior ADU, which is enclosed in the same dwelling, is basically we would bill that as a living unit when it's occupied, but there are no connection fees for that. Then if there's an outside of the dwelling, so it's its own freestanding, anything under 750 is billed for usage, but not for capacity fees, and that's the state mandate. And then anything over goes on to a sliding scale. Some of the new ADUs are bigger than the original homes, so those sometimes are charged full price because they're, bigger than the home the owner had originally. So it's all on a sliding scale of size and usage. But all of our ADUs are billed a user fee once they're complete.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I maybe need a little more clarification. So what you're saying during the pandemic, if I was someone who's coming into Delray Oak City Hall and let's say I was building an ADU, potentially the staff would just say, oh, you don't need to go to M1. So in other words, you don't have to pay that fee? Like they were waiving the fee? Or
No, I
No.
think that that person at the counter, that employee at the counter saw that, felt that there was no fee or that being charged by Monterey Water. So they said to the applicant, oh, don't worry, you don't need to go over there.
okay.
We
So-
can just take you off the list. Go to the school district, go to the water district, but you don't need to do that because there's no fee incurred. When in reality, we'll give them a no fee waiver. So then we know they're in our system. It's just not going to charge them.
Okay, so it's just a matter of knowing. So it's not all these people that are, we now know are in the system, they're gonna start being charged or.
Correct.
Okay,
It's really
Yeah.
just training and just bringing everybody back up to speed. Hey, you need to send them to Monterey Water before you issue a building permit.
okay.
Lindsay, I might ask you to jump up again, but because there are some instances, what you just said, Kim,
Yeah.
of we were like unaware that an ADU is there. I remember talking to customer service a year or two ago. They were doing inspections in a town that we won't talk about. There was an ADU there that they're like, what is that? And when we just were never informed. So in an instance like that, there could be the potential for someone to be charged more. And hence the reason what Steve's saying is that collaboration between all the entities to know
Mhm.
what's happening is very important.
Because do they know pretty well that when there should be no fee or when there should be a fee?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
they should just say, hey, please go over there
Yeah.
and let our customer service staff handle it. But
Right.
Lindsay, go ahead.
Most of the customers build their ADUs under 750 because those are
Purposely.
Yes. So in that case, they would just be issued a $no waiver. But the other thing that we do is the billing, and we do the city charge billings on the behalf of our member entities as well. So when we bill, we're also billing for the member entities. And that is the key in the end, is that if we have the $no permit waiting, when they're finished, at least we start billing the user fees, which is correct on both sides.
Okay, okay. Thank you for the clarification.
another question that I had. Is it possible for us to work with, I mean, I don't want to make things too complicated, but I'm just wondering if they're already going by the water management district, could we somehow develop a relationship with them that they help support checking that box for the M1W piece as to avoid this issue happening again in the future where staff forgets and we're back in this kind of do loop of having to go back and check again. Is that something that could be possible?
Yes, we're going to have meetings with the member entities over the next year because there's going to be a lot of work to be done here. And we're certainly going to make sure that they get everything they need and we get everything we need. And we'll fine tune this process. And I think we can get the updates to you through, through Paul. But yes,
I'm just throwing out, I
Right.
don't need anything. I'm just saying it out loud, but
Yeah, and I've actually had the discussions with Dave Stold about, hey, sometimes people do come to you and they don't walk over here because they just don't know.
Right.
So to bring them into the fold, just to say,
Right.
hey, have you gone to
right.
Monterey
Yeah,
One?
absolutely.
And they've been open to that. We just need to probably formalize that because then, as Steve identified, pandemic happened, they weren't there, and things changed.
Perfect. And then one final question in regards to capacity fees, and I think we've talked about this previously, but is there a way that we can look at updating how the capacity fee is charged so that it's by square feet as opposed to per unit? And the idea behind this, just for some context, is it helps incentivize the development and making it more affordable for for affordable housing.
Yes. So when we talked about a comprehensive rate and fee study that we would embark upon next year, that would be part of it, where we'd be looking at capacity fees. The way they're structured are monthly fees, the way they're structured, and give some options to the board. Obviously, there's a number of different rate structures that are out there that are appropriate for wastewater customers or wastewater entities like us. We just want to look at them. The decision was made many years ago to have it as we have it, but there are so many options that may better suit where we're at today and where we're going to be in 10 years in terms of potentially some additional low-income housing or infill or ADUs and so on. So we will absolutely do that.
And it could be like other examples could be like water flow or how many sinks or toilets or whatever it might be to kind of make it give some better balance in regards to how the fees are.
Yes.
Charged.
And so in reference to that, though, please understand a comprehensive rate and fee study of this type is potentially wholesale change. It takes a long time. I mean, we're talking probably a better part of 8 months to do that, check in with the board periodically, and then come up with a recommendation. So it's not something that's going to be done by March.
Perfect. I'm just going to bring it up every time we have this conversation, just to help reinforce the conversation with the board, because I think it's a really great opportunity for us to do this. So I see a couple more hands up here. We'll start again with,
Was first.
Oh, okay. So you didn't explicitly say this, but I presume your suggestion about working with Monterey Peninsula Water Management District would only apply to the peninsula cities because nobody from Marina or Salinas or Castro.
that's correct. But I think the same applies, right? If there's Marina Coast, right? I think the same would apply for that district.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We're still reaching out to all the member entities.
Mhm.
It's just we have someone next door that can help out as well, and it's easy.
Right.
Please.
And I think that going to the member entities, they have that set up in their planning department, the checklist. That when they're gonna go build something, we know the school and they know all their fees. And so if all of the jurisdictions could get on and that be uniform, I think that there would be a great place to start.
All right. Well, with that, let's take it out for public comment. Anybody in the public wish to speak on this item? You can use the raise hand function on Zoom. Okay, we'll bring it back to the committee for recommendation and deliberation.
I'd like to make a motion that the Budget Personnel Committee accept the report and provide direction for staff on the next steps.
Good job of that, maybe. It seems like we don't have very much to do to direct there, though. It seems like you guys figured that out. So appreciate the work that's been done behind the scenes on this one. So thank you, everybody. All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. We'll now go on to item number 7, update on process. Oh, I'm sorry. Did that one. Number 8, consider recommending approval of a memorandum of understanding with the city of Monterey for services related to the city's wastewater billing change to the Monterey County property tax bill.
I got this.
Perfect. Are you
So,
sure?
first of all, need to do a little mea culpa here. I know it's November and this, kind of went through in July and August. We worked with city staff and Monterey One Water staff on trying to develop this MOU as we were getting to the tax roll. I think there was a little bit of a curveball that was thrown in that process, but obviously Monterey went forward. And so, Castroville had provided their, MOU earlier because they went to their board earlier. And so we're just coming back now with, the MOU between Monterey One Water and the city of Monterey, discussing what we're going to continue to do for the city of Monterey for the billing change, maintaining the database. And it kind of just tag teams really closely with what, the previous item. And as a matter of fact, we had a number of conversations with City of Monterey staff and about the billing and the no fee waiver as it pertains to the planning department. And we even kind of worded, some language in one of these, the number 5, I believe, about, if there is a building permit that impacts the sewer system, they need to get that waiver from us. And so we're trying to reinforce that with like these agreements that we have with the city, and they understand that. And so, but the difference that we had with the city was that they didn't want to send us all of their building permit applications. If somebody was, changing their roof, they didn't need to come to us. And so we made that language that if it's going to impact the sewer, a bathroom remodel or something else, at ADU, then they have to come to us. And so that's worked in. One of the other things I'll highlight is that this MOU is only good to the end of June, because we just want to kind of assess how it's impacting us. Do we need to make any modifications? We know we need to work with the city on a billing policy adjustment. And so we're going to be engaging the city staff to sit down with us and kind of develop that policy amendment process, moving forward. So we're just here to have, the Budget Personnel Committee approve the MOU, and then we'll go take it to the board at the end of the month. Any questions?
Feel a little left out that you took care of Castroville before. Any questions? All right, with that, we'll go ahead and take it out to the public. Seeing none, we'll bring it back to committee for a motion and deliberation. Move approval. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody oppose? Motion passes unanimously. Thanks, staff, for this one. Appreciate it. With that, we'll go to item number 9, which is to consider recommending adoption of resolution 2024, numbers yet to be identified, for a 5-year MOU with our labor group. That's the staff, the presentation.
You didn't want to read the entire title
No,
of that?
no, we ain't gonna do that today. You can though, Lyra, if you like.
Right, so good afternoon. This agenda item is regarding a recent audit we had with CalPERS. Last October, they reached out and said, hey, we'd like you to participate in our biannual audit for educational incentive review. They requested some documentation. We provided it. They were on site October 11th through the 13th. We worked with them on just the different documents they requested, and they let us know, hey, you've got a couple of little things that you need to fix. It was a preliminary observation. Specifically, our written labor policies were not in compliance because they were outside of our MOUs. And the other item was some of our educational incentive pay was paid compounding on top of some other certification pay. So this was our preliminary observation. They said, we'll get you a report back sometime in May of next year. And they did. And as the findings were, exactly what they said. And it was written labor policy not in compliance, conditions for payment referenced in other document, i.e. our policy, and that the other observation was not correctly reported for our incentive pay. And we worked with their team over the last few months. We came up with kind of a plan, and they said we have to go back and amend our original MOUs from 2019, even though they are outdated. We still needed to update those so that anyone who retired during that time frame could actually claim that incentive pay as actual PERSable pay. So that's basically this item here today, is to redo all of our MOUs from 2019 through June 2023 to include the policy that was a board-approved policy from quite a while ago, but we're just adding it now into the MOUs. Current MOUs already have the policy in there because we were made aware of this back in May. So we did correct that for current MOUs, so we will not have to worry about that for any new MOUs. And so here we go. I'm going to read the very long one.
Oh, you're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it. So we're asking that the Budget Personnel Committee recommend that the board adopt Resolution 2024-XX. We will have those numbers available at the board meeting, approving a 5-year MOU between Monterey One Water, M1W, and the General Employees Association, 2024-XX, approving a 5-year MOU between M1W and the Management Employees Group, Resolution 2024-XX, approving a 5-year MOU between M1W and the Mid-Management Employees Group, and Resolution 2024-XX, approving a 5-year MOU between M1W and the Operations Employees Bargaining Group, and thereby rescinding and replacing resolutions number 2019-16, 2019-09, 2019-14, and 2019-12. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Could you read that again for me?
Thank you.
All right, any questions? I just have one. Under the fiscal impact, it says that there's none, but given that it's going back and adjusting and allowing those claims to be made, are we not accounting for any of those
So
potential?
PERS actually already paid and accepted those dollars. So there's no change in their system. The only change would be if we opted to say, you know what, we just don't want to do that. We don't want to go back and change it. They would go back and recalculate for our employees that have retired. They would get less money for their
Okay.
retirement.
Awesome.
So,
All right,
yeah,
thank you for that.
change.
All right, well, let's take it out to the public for public comment. Bring it back to the committee for motion and deliberation.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
And seconded, any other discussion? All righty, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Lear. And with that, we will move on to staff reports.
So just a couple quick things. One is, most of you met him, but I wanted to introduce Lawrence Chu, our new Director of Finance.
Welcome.
He started yesterday and he came back today. So we're good. We're good.
It's just next week is the question.
Well, after meeting all of you, I'm sure he'll be back. And then I just wanted to bring this up really fast, and Lawrence will talk about it more at the board meeting, but we received from GFOA, Government Finance Officers Association, as in the past, for 2023, we received their Triple Crown Award, which is for Certificate of Achievement in Excellence. Oh my God, that's a long one.
Let's hear it. Let's do it.
Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting Award, comma, Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, and Popular Annual Financial Reporting Award.
Nice.
So we were able to get the awards for all three, hence the reason this Triple Crown for 2023. And that's all I had.
I have a couple. One is that we have the Headworks bypass project that was supposed to be wrapped up this week. It got extended, so it won't wrap up until next week. Then we started taking Pond 3 water at 1 million gallons a day to help the city of Salinas create more freeboard due to what their situation is. And then starting Monday, we'll be sampling for the annual priority pollutants, where we sample, you basically take 24-hour sample, and it's part of our permit. And so we've got all the equipment set up today. So I wanted to thank Sarah and her team. But other than that, that's all I have. Lawrence, do you have anything?
You must have something, Lawrence. Just kidding, just kidding.
Well, I think Lawrence came back because Steve and I took him to lunch yesterday, so that's probably
Hey, there you
why,
go.
he's back today.
Where'd you guys go as a person?
Someplace without utensils, probably.
I wanted to congratulate the winners of the election on Tuesday. So I think we have a few people that were reseated and passed their election. So thank you for that.
Want to be mayor,
Actually-
you got to come through Monterey One Water.
Actually, everyone here,
Yes,
I
that's
thi-
right.
as well
Oh,
as
that's right.
others, but yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, that's right. We were all on the ballot.
Yeah.
This is true. Congrats, everybody.
And then on Tuesday, we had a tour. We had a couple tours. Rachel did one for the, I want to say naval. It was a military tour on Tuesday morning. I did a tour for some officials from the Brazilian government Tuesday afternoon. She did a tour yesterday for the University Women. And then I'm doing a class today for CSUMB. So, you
And
know,
the
still-
naval one was Naval Support Activity Group.
so always trying to spread the word.
Thank you for that. Selling us good. Anybody else? That's
That,
cool. Thank you. Committee member reports.
No report, but a question.
Please.
So that Salinas water that it's coming over to us, is that excess water that, and there with no charge?
no, Salinas will pay for the primary and secondary charge because it's just, there's more water than we have demands right now, so it will be going out the outfall. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Alrighty. With that, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thank you, everybody.